Aloha kako, Mike here again for Cayle Conversations. Today we have Cayle with us, and just wants to answer a few questions with Cayle Conversations today. So you want to let everyone introduce yourself and everyone know where you're from, everything?
My name's Cayle Littlechief. Been on the islands for about 9 years. I was introduced to the islands through some good friends in Vegas, the ninth island. So there's a big Hawaiian community out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I kind of connected with, and they taught me about Hawaii behind the scenes, and brought me out here about 19 years ago now.
Wow.
So they said they're gonna take me on the non-Haole tour. I was like,
those are the best ones probably.
So at the time I didn't know what that was, but you know, they're laughing and crying. But no, I learned about Hawaii, you know, more in depth, and being Native American, the similarities, you know, our ancestral history is very similar. You know, there are differences, but overall we're, you know, there's a connection.
Right. Definitely.
But they taught me about Hawaii, and then it took a while, and they're like, you know, if you ever want to come out. And so I grew up Southern California. Pacific Ocean is my love. Just was on the other side. And then I moved to Vegas when I was about 23, and I was there about 10 years in the desert, and that felt like an island. I missed the ocean, you know, the whole lifestyle. And then I moved up north to Washington State a couple years, then to Vermont a couple years, Canada, because my family lives up in Canada. And on my father's side, which he's full-blood Native American, my mom's Canadian. So, you know, I traveled around, and just Hawaii just kept calling me. So I came out with the respect towards the Kanaka, the native Hawaiians, you know, with understanding and wanting to help while I'm here. Because whoever the people you know already kind of gave you the understanding too, right? Exactly. Yeah. Plus you came down, you get the non-Haole tour, right? So it's like, you know, you learn a lot more about the culture and everything that way. I think, because just on my last video, the one that you said you saw, there were a couple, you know, we had a couple of visitors sitting with us, and they were looking for the same thing, the non-Haole tour, you know. So that's I think, you know, again, you learn the most about the culture and everything. You can make the most of it that way. Yeah. So, how long would you say you've been an activist, just all around, you know? You know, since high school, or at a young age, because I learned my history outside of, let's say, public schooling or history books, you know? I knew, you know, through my elders, and when I would go visit family, you know, they would teach me, or I would try and self-teach myself. So I learned at a young age, you know, there was an imbalance with our government versus our people on my native side. I look more white than native sometimes, depends, you know.
Well, there's a lot of fair-skinned Hawaiians out there too, you know, so it's like, yeah.
They're like Littlechief, what? So I'd say from high school, I was kind of active in my mind, but physically going full active,
like going out there,
was about 5-6 years ago.
Oh, right on.
And it's funny because I find in different movements, whether it's, you know, this movement or Standing Rock or corruption of any kind, nationwide, worldwide, but it seems like something like 5-6 years ago, something just turned on with people, and that's, you hear that a lot with people. It's like, oh, about 4 or 5 years ago, you know. Yeah, I just kind of like the switch came on, and I just woke up.
Like a call to action around that time, like with everyone else, like this new Hawaiian movement where everyone just kind of, you know, waking up now, which is good, you know, that's something we want, So as a Native American, what kind of hardships do you think Native Hawaiians face that are similar to those of Native Americans?
The suppression of the truth, and trying to fight to get that truth out. It's not hate. It's not like hating the white man or hating, you know, a certain race or religion. It's just the truth and getting that out. It's important because not just within our families or our community to know the truth, right? It's the general public or the world to make that difference, because we all got to come together, right? But if we don't learn the truth, we're gonna repeat it over and over again,
because everyone's in the dark about
like
it. They don't know.
The U.S. being created through a genocide, right? Hide that truth because we're doing that right now in other countries for oil and land, and you know what I mean. So if the general public isn't learn from our own mistakes, we're easily to go join the military or join some kind of group to, you know, repeat that history.
That'll keep that going. So that's why we all gotta stay informed and in tune, right? So what kind of hardships do you think are different from the Native Americans for Native Hawaiians?
The difference?
Is there any kind of battles you think that we fight that are different?
Yeah, you know, Native American versus Native Hawaiian, however you want, indigenous, Aboriginal, however you want to label it. We went through a physical genocide. And war. Taking up arms. Dying, like generations gone from war. Trying to fight for, you know, land and you know, stealing of our children, put into education camps, and you know what I mean, like that, kidnapping, you know, stuff like that.
That's definitely a big difference.
Like literal, physical. You know, out here I've noticed you guys are lucky, and like the Queen Liliuokalani, I understand her way of thinking to save her people, because she knew what she was up against. Was an entity that was going to bring violence, and that was the bottom line. So her doing a protest shows her being able to foresee.
Forward thinking.
And I don't know if that was learned through what happened to the Native Americans, but you know, I don't know the communication. I don't think there was newspapers.
I was just thinking that too, like, because I never really thought about it until we're having this conversation. What made her do that? Well, obviously, for one, because you know that's something people probably would have lost. Like they have, like, you know, Marines sitting there and with their gunship in the harbor. Like that's not a battle we could win.
Pretty obvious what they're gonna bring.
And then on top of that, it's like maybe she knew what the Native Americans went through, and then going through the legal way, I would say, like, you know, giving up her monarchy under protest, and maybe she knew, again, like forward thinking, that, you know, in the future that could be used, which is still, it is kind of being used, you know, in courts and stuff, because we were actual nation. That's why, or we are a nation, in fact, you know, that's being occupied. That most people would say that. So, but that's definitely, I would say, a huge difference, and it's good that you point that out, because a lot of Native Americans lost their lives through all of that, fighting for their lands and everything like that. So,
and there's been skirmishes, you know, since, you know, Wounded Knee, American Indian movement, you know, standing up physically with arms. Like kind of like the Black Panther Party, was created, you know, basically to protect their people from law enforcement. I mean, the grassroots, and then turn, you know, the propaganda flips it where they're the terrorists, right? So, and then they dismantle the leadership, things of that nature. You know, Standing Rock had they use mercenaries to infiltrate the movement. So within the camp, on social media, you know, not just physical. So, and people trying to create violence within. and I started noticing the patterns here, you know, up on the Mauna. You know, I think it was called Tiger Swan was the group
that went to Standing Rock.
Yeah,
that infiltrated the camp there.
Right. So I put it out there so people kind of try and learn, because they try to get us to fight within each other, and it's covert, right?
No, well, that's
it's
like
all part of the battle.
And even that, I think even within this movement, people know that division is what's going to bring us down. So, you know, outside of that, whoever the forces working against us, of course, they're going to try to create division too, because they know the same thing, right? Like as long as we kind of mess with their, you know, their hierarchy, then, you know, we're going to bring them down that way, which is, you know, it's an obvious thing to play to make. So what made you join this movement?
You know, one night, I think it was like close to midnight, or it was really late, and I was online, and I was on Facebook, and through the feed something came through from Maui, a call to action, and like I can't remember his
Cayle Moku Kapu, right? Yeah. Yes. So for him, he put out the kahea for
yeah, right. So I'm listening to it, and I'm like, oh, this is serious. Like, what's going on? You know, like.
What was that issue? Do you remember what the issue was? Why
it was the Kapuna were about to get arrested.
Oh, okay.
And
on Mauna Kea,
threat of violence was coming to the protectors up on the Mauna, and he's saying, look, we're going to shut down commerce, airports, and, you know, I'm like, whoa, state, and calling out statewide. I'm like, whoa, what is this? Because we physically stood downtown against the pipeline. My family and I, and Hawaiians stood with us there. You know, Hawaiians went up to Standing Rock physically. Andre Perez went up there, and he was training people, our people, how to protest peacefully, you know. And you know, the respect, like it's just
it's mutual, I think, and I think it's because Native Americans and Hawaiians have that understanding of the land, right? Like Hawaiians, it's our term, aloha āina, you know, the love of the land. Do Native Americans have some kind of term like that? Like, because you know what aloha āina means, right? Like by now.
Well, I mean, there's like hundreds of nations and different languages, right?
And you were, I'm sorry, you're
Kiowa.
Kiowa, okay.
I'm enrolled with Kiowa of Oklahoma, but we're Kiowa Comanche.
Oh, okay.
So our tribes were forced down through the Trail of Tears, that story. We were north, like Wyoming area, and then pushed down Comanche, and, you know, a lot of tribes merged in Oklahoma.
Forced to kind of go down there, right? That's why.
Yeah, so that's how our tribes came together. And my father was half Kiowa, half Comanche. So that's how. But we chose the Kiowa role. You can choose, you know, if you want to go on the other side.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like a blood or a male role type of thing.
Oh, I see. So they like they have gender roles, I guess, for that.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's changed too. You know, that's evolved, and it's more
inclusive, maybe.
Yeah. But back to the what got me involved was when I saw that violence was coming and how serious it was, calling for help statewide. I woke up my wife. I'm like, honey, check this out. We got to help them. They were there for us. We got to be there. You know, and ever since we've been.
So what was the first I guess the first way that you stood, I guess, in this movement? Like, you know, like we had the convoys and stuff like that. Was that the first thing you're able to get involved with, or did you go to like a protest, a sign waving?
We went to, I think it was the first march in Waikiki.
Oh, okay, the one in October.
Not the big one. We went to the big one.
Oh, because there was one before that that wasn't right. Okay,
Yeah,
I know which one you're talking about. I was actually up on Mahalo Cayle when that one happened.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I remember that one happening. So I know which one you're talking about. So what do you think? There's things that each side could take, like, you know, I guess that the Hawaiians could take from the Native Americans, or vice versa, like about, you know, our struggles or something. What do you think that would be? Like, what would you want the Native Hawaiians to know, like, or learn from, you think?
Well, I have this photo here for a reason, because my worry is the violence that they will bring. You know, it's over the centuries, you know, it's how it always ends, unfortunately. And I hate to sound negative, or you know, but just to be prepared for that. Because like the Hawaiians are so peaceful and so focused, so smart, you know, like and Native Americans are as well. It's just, I think it goes back to that physical genocide and knowing what the atrocities that happened. There's more
Animosity,
physical wanting to like
do something, right?
So out here, when they bring it, like, because neither side is going to move, right? And like Ige, there's key words you got to listen when he speaks, like taking a break at this time. At this time, he just repeats it.
Right, yeah.
So you can hear it, and I can hear it. Warning, it's coming. You know, so like, if you're gonna take that stand to the end, just be prepared for what they'll bring. And they won't use local law enforcement, because there's a connection. So that's when they call state of emergency. So then they can bring in the outside forces that have no connection whatsoever and have no problem carrying out their orders. Right. You know, just to prepare if it goes that route is, you know, what I try to
tell people, or teach them, or just get them prepared, right, mentally and stuff like that. Which is, I mean, it's
traumatizing, you know, but yeah.
So how would you characterize this movement, like this Hawaiian movement? Like, if you had to describe it or label it, what would you say? Like, if someone asked you, like, you know, what do you think about this movement?
It's educational. Well, it's powerful. It's, you know, based off love and unity and love for the earth. Same exact thing that Standing Rock was representing, and the world woke up to that as well. Just truth, you know, and getting educated.
And I think that's again, like, because Hawaiians understand, you know, again, aloha āina and love for the land, which is why they ended up there, and because I think our struggles are so similar for land and fighting for our land and all that, and our people, which is, I think, that why Hawaiians come up there. And it's nice to see a lot of the Native Americans return the favor and come down here. I've been to Mahalo Cayle twice, and, you know, maybe for 3 days at a time, and there has always been Native Americans up there. Always, every time representing, and, you know, they all come up and they say, you know, you stood with us, we're here to stand with you, and it's great. And it's, you know what I mean, again, that's unity. It's not just Hawaiians, it's like worldwide, you know, the world is watching, and it's good to see like communities like that come together. We can be on like different parts of the world, but we still stand together because we understand what we're going through. So I think that's another beautiful thing about all of this. So what do you think this movement has taught you?
We're in the same fight. Yeah, we're in the same mission for truth. and we need to become one. You know, doesn't matter race, color, nation.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's, you know, coming down to bloodlines versus the people. People want to categorize or, you know, stereotype it into white people.
Yeah.
You know, even white people are being oppressed and suppressed by their own government. You know, it's coming down to bloodlines and wealth and globalism, you know, that type of stuff. So, yeah.
You just learn to look into it more, and you find out more things normally, right? That's probably what's happening. So why do you think this movement is happening? This is a good question for you, like being like kind of more of an outside perspective, you know, just because you're more Native American. So like I try to tell people, a lot of people would say that Mahalo Cayle kind of made it happen, you know, and sparked it. But what do you think is a real driving force behind the movement? Because obviously there's all kinds of other fights, you know, like some people would probably say like the real driving force is like sovereignty, like, you know, we want those kinds of things. But looking from the outside for you, what do you think it is that really drives everyone in the movement?
Truth, justice, right? Setting things right. It's not just the United States government. There is a global entity. If you look at every uprising throughout the world right now, it's the same cry. It's the same call out, and that is greed, corruption, tyranny. You can pick any movement, China or Hong Kong, the Yellow Vests in Europe, Brazil,
the Yellow Vests,
South Korea, or Japan. No matter where there's an uprising happening, or Africa, it's the same thing. Greed, corruption, tyranny, governments walking all over their people. The world's getting tired of it, and it's moments like this, just like Standing Rock, that you grasp it and you teach the world and each other. You start to wake up as a person, and you know, a lot of Kanaka are waking up to themselves, you know, to the truth. It's almost like a religion,
right?
The truth, and it really, once you accept it, there's nothing but positive change. You know, so just the truth. I think there's a good perspective on it. Like, but that's definitely what would drive everyone, is to get the truth out and everything too. Yes, and we learn so we can learn from our mistakes.
Right.
The world can learn the truth, so we learn from those mistakes and we don't repeat them.
Definitely.
That's a key for them to hide that.
Oh yeah,
truth.
Definitely.
And keep us brainwashed, propagandized. You know, they even have a law out there, Smith-Mundt Act. They reversed the law from, I think it was World War II, to run propaganda on the people. Well, they amended that law and they modernized it to include social media and the internet, because that wasn't around back then.
Right.
Newspapers, TV, movies, you know, music. Now they modernized it to run the propaganda and created a lot of protect themselves. And that's for the TV and social media now. So gotta question everything.
Right.
You know,
so social media is such a powerful
critical thought is so important right now in all this. Social media, it plays a huge role. Like Standing Rock saved a lot of lives. If social media wasn't here, look what they had there.
No one would have known, right? And it wouldn't have got broadcasted, right?
There would have been deaths. They sick dogs on them, you know,
spraying them with
spraying them with water under 30, you know, 30 below degrees.
When it's cold,
You know, it's just stuff like that. Like it's
there's a lot of
Right.
So, what does kapu aloha mean to you?
Maintaining control and not getting upset in the moment. One of your interviews, I forget her name, I think it was Jamie.
Jamie's your uncle?
And she was talking about Malcolm X and the movement she's involved with. In the U.S., it gets a little bit more aggressive sometimes. You know what I mean?
I can see that.
Here, we're being taught, that maintain peaceful love, you know what I mean? Not that it's not out there, it is. It's just, I think it goes back to that history of genocide and abuse and torture and, all that. So I think that builds up. But out here, Kapua Aloha is like teaching us to,
steadfast
maintain, and love, fight it with love. And
I think the same thing I said to her too is I think that's important because of course law enforcement, what I told her, they don't know how to respond to that peacefully protesting, right? Like you can't just go and beat someone up for sitting on the ground. I mean, you can, like the enforcement can, and they have before, but like with stuff like Mahalo Cayle and like again social media and everything, it's just out there, everybody is watching, like and I think that's how you get people on your side. With I'm just sitting here, like on the road blocking the road, and you're gonna come and beat me down, like that's not gonna go good for you, right? So like they're not trained to respond to that. Law enforcement is really more trained to respond to violence. And of course, if like I explained before, our kupuna and everyone up on Mahalo Cayle, like if they use violence, law enforcement is gonna respond with violence, and even worse, because they're gonna go a step above, they're gonna enforce with kindness, right? So I think that's why Kapua is very important, and I think that's what's keeping us safe and on Mahalo Cayle, on like and occupying the spaces we have right now, so that's why I think it's a very important thing.
It's very impressive.
Yeah, even I'm impressed because and again, because a lot of us are still new to this and seeing all this for the first time, and even with Mahalo Cayle, like we haven't seen a stand in Hawaii at least like that for a while. I don't think, like probably not since Koho'olawe, but it just shows how powerful that is, in a way where like we're able to stop TMT, right now. So again, it's so powerful. But what do you think is the biggest challenge facing the Hawaiian people right now?
Again, I'll go back to the violence part to all this. If it goes down like that, how to handle that. And Kapua Aloha, goes back to that as well. But like, I hate to say it because that's where they take it. That's where they take it, and I think the call to action not just affected me. I noticed it. It spread like wildfire to protect the kapuna, the elderly.
Right.
The protectors. It's just people are tired of seeing the violence.
Definitely.
They're tired of it. And the force to just get what they want.
Yeah.
Like the pipeline was executive ordered through once Trump got into office, and it's not just him calling the shots. There's global powers behind that.
I've always believed the president is just more of a puppet.
They are. They are. I mean, and he's an actor on top of that, a real estate mogul, but an actor. But there are global powers, and we can't deny that.
Definitely.
And like I was saying, every uprising has the same call out because it's a network working as one. And now people are starting to see how similar it's happening worldwide.
Oh yeah.
So say the Hawaiian kingdom is regained, they get, you get it back. There's still a global entity to think about.
Okay, so if there's any one issue you could solve within the Hawaiian movement, what would it be? You think, after seeing all of this stuff and what's going on?
Understanding it's not just all white people, and I'm not saying the whole movement thinks that way, but
yeah, definitely.
even with Native Americans or African Americans or any ethnic group, you'll have those people that are, it's the white man did it.
Right.
The white man. Like, we got to get beyond that and work as one, because there are plenty white people that are backing
supporters, right?
us up, you know. And again, it goes back to bloodlines. We need to look at the bloodlines that are out there that look at us like we're peasants and slaves and, you know, cannon fodder in their wars. And we just got to understand that we're all one, really. And to get past that is the white man or the United States, or you know what I mean. The U.S. again is hijacked. I can't stress that enough. And we were taken over. If you go research it, back in 1913, 1933, Federal Reserve banking, you know, they turned it to privatize banking. Foreign powers coming into the U.S. and taking over control of the money, control of the military, education, healthcare. There's a hijack, just like here, there as well, or Australia, or Europe, or you know,
it's happening everywhere.
Ireland. You know, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Just having that understanding and getting past. The U.S. has a lot to do with it. I'm not gonna say they don't. You know, and even with the fights with the Native Americans against the U.S. government, they're not fighting the U.S. government. They're fighting a global entity. You know, oil, war, foreign banks privatized. They can't even. We're not even allowed to audit the Federal Reserve. Our president can't even question or audit. I mean, and they say it. You know, British Columbia is its own little country with their own like rules and constitution within the United States. These are things people don't understand. You know, so we are hijacked. And yes, the U.S. has a lot to do with it. And the bloodlines that are doing it are of white color. But it's not all white people, and it's not all U.S. There is a global entity, and people need to start doing their due diligence, like you said, and start researching, you know, critical thought. You know,
and like I always say, like nowadays there's like no excuse for not doing your due diligence, because we have things like our phones, and you know, there's Google.
Yeah, it's right
everything's
there.
Everything's right at your fingertips to understand. But again, it's kind of a double-edged sword, like with social media and everything, because misinformation can be put out there which you can believe to be true, and then find out later it's not true. You know, so like smear campaigns, you know, stuff like that. Finding out what's true and what's not, and you really got to dig sometimes. You know, if you really want the truth, and just to make sure, you know, just to vet certain things. You know, so that I think that's the hard part, and that's a lot of the work that a lot of people don't like to do. I think, especially on social media, we all have short attention spans. We're just like scrolling through our phones. You know, you just want to move on to the next thing already. Like, so there's not. I mean, I know you do a lot of due diligence. I see all the stuff you do, so that's really important. And, you know, but still, like, you know, but if you can get to one person, then that's you know what I mean. I know you tag me all the time, but like out of all the people you tag, but if that gets through to one person, then I'd say you made a huge difference. And like, because then you're waking someone else up, and maybe they can do one more person, and that just.
And what I'm doing too is bypassing the algorithms, because those are set against us. So say you put out your videos, the algorithms, if they don't agree with your information, they're gonna make sure your video is down towards the bottom,
definitely,
or your post. You know, so like tagging and all that, I don't expect people to accept it, but here's the information, because you bypass. So you learn different tricks and ways of making sure the message gets across.
Right, because I've watched and heard some things even about like YouTube, how YouTube's algorithms really mess with stuff. How they really, I'd like to say, I think they're liberal, right? YouTube, I think. So they kind of like, well, what happened with Alex Jones and all that kind of stuff, you know? So they'll like pretty much blackball people they don't agree with, and they'll just shut you out, or even your beliefs. So anyone that could have like followed Alex Jones even or anything, like their videos could get like, you know, on the bottom of the list, like just using their algorithms and everything like that. So like everything is controlled in that way, which is kind of sad, you know. Like we need we need an unbiased, you know, source. You know, if YouTube was just unbiased and you could look up anything and see and find anything on there, not to their bias, would be, you know, I think a lot more people would be more informed, because you can find that center, because that's what they say, right? Because like when, you know, if you read different stories on one issue, you get this side and you get this side, right. Eventually you're going to find the one thing in the middle, and then that's going to be the truth, right? So I feel like we need more stuff like that in social media, and like, because we're not going to get it from the news and the media, you know. Even if you go to CNN and Fox, like it's still so contrasting. Left, like you're not going to find the middle between those two, you know. And I used to, like, this when I was younger, I leaned a lot more left. I watched a lot of CNN, and I look at it now, I'm like, I can't believe I used to watch that stuff, right? You know. And it's like when you start waking up and all that, you know. And to me, either side, I'm not a party person. As I've told most people, I don't believe in a party system. Because I believe that creates division. Screw those Democrats, and I hate seeing those comments between people like, oh, those stupid Democrats, those stupid Republicans. It doesn't matter. You know, it shouldn't matter. You should be voting and stand for what you believe in, not what a party believes in. You know, like a Democrat could stand for something I like, and a Republican could, and that, you know, that's fine with me. I can be in the middle. Right. You know, I'm not gonna not like something just because a Democrat likes it. You know, like I think that's the wrong way to go. So and I know we have the Aloha āina party coming out, which is good. So hopefully that'll be something more in the middle for people to go to, right? Yeah. So we need more options. I would say we need like more than a two-party system. So
it's the big trick,
right? Definitely
duality, right?
Yeah, the division,
black and white. They, you know, the checkerboard. They need, you know, good and evil. They need that. It splits us. Even splits our personality. Yeah. Person. They work off of that. Yeah.
And that's how they get us to fight with each other.
Democrats, Republicans, Libertarian. I'm like you. I don't go with the label. We can't anymore.
You can't.
It's the human party.
Right. No, exactly. You know what I mean? That's what it should be. Exactly. It should be like you just believe in what's right, and that's it, you know. And I feel like both sides, Democrat, Republican, whatever, like I feel like both sides, of course, have beliefs that are right and true, but they still want to, you know, like we just need to come together more. And again, like that's why government, I feel like they can't get anything done because they're too busy fighting with each other. Like the other day, you have Nancy Pelosi ripping up the State of the Union thing, and it's kind of like it's just a big show. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, right? And it's like, it's like, oh, what's that about? Like that stuff shouldn't matter. Like just because it's Donald Trump and he's a Republican, you don't like him. Like I don't like any. He could say, I'm going to feed the entire world, and she would still be against it just because he's a Republican, or you know what I mean? And that's what the lines do to us.
And it gets frustrating too, because I've met a lot of smart people that, you know, say they're Republican or Democratic, and they're so knowledgeable on their party. And the people, the players, remember names and dates and laws and, you know, bills and, you know, all this stuff. They can retain the information and put all their time and energy into it. And you just get frustrated because their energy is being misdirected, and they need to like
find the middle too. Right? Yeah.
Use that power and that, you know, get out of the matrix, unplug from that matrix. Because that's exactly where they want us.
Yeah, like just thinking one-sided, basically, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we're consenting to it.
Oh yeah.
You know?
And so, what do you think is the best way to make change happen?
Again, just getting yourself to research. You know, take time. You know, at night when I'm like cooking or driving or whatever, I put on something, you know, just to listen to or learn about, you know.
You mean like an informational kind of thing?
There's different movements, different things going on in the world. A lot of voices out there speaking out. Listen to all these voices, you know, and like you said, you can collect to a center truth, like through all the misinformation. Because there are agents and shows and trolls and whatever out there to misdirect us. It is a battle of information as well as a battlefield. You know, just find that balance with life, a healthy balance, you know, family, friends, work, but incorporate researching while you can, because back to the what you're talking about, YouTube being censored, we are in a digital book burning. Back in the day, World War II and World War I, they were burning, literally burning the books. So the people wouldn't understand that what they're supporting was to a bigger atrocity, you know? So they're digitally deleting and burning the books.
That's a super interesting way to put it.
While you can, take as much in as you can.
Because you think more and more will be censored over time. Like, we don't even know what's already being censored, you know, because most of the time first thing we go to Google, and again, I think they're liberal too, probably, so they have a lot of algorithms that work just like YouTube, and they're actually, like, Google owns YouTube now, right, or something, or I know they're like linked or whatever, because I need to use my Google account through YouTube. It's using your Google account. You need to have a Google account, so I know they're linked, but again, you know, so who knows what they're censoring when we try to search things too. So, but I think that's a really good way to put it. Like you said, like a digital book burning it's kind of crazy to think about, but it's true. The censorship and everything, that's exactly what it is. So that is kind of crazy.
I record a lot of things and save it and, you know, tuck it away.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What I have, the information I have today, won't be there for my children. The way it's going, soon they'll censor it all out, you know, and there'll be like a central place to go. Like underneath a YouTube video now, they're putting their facts underneath, right? Fact checkers.
I didn't notice that.
Even on Facebook, they have a fact checker at the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, these are just precursors of what's coming.
But again, you don't know.
They'll have full control.
Their own fact checker. You don't know if you know who's actually checking the facts. Like, I don't know if Facebook's really telling the truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's super interesting when you look at it that way.
So just, you know, get as much information as you can while it's available, and retain.
And that's good to hear that, you know, you said you're like in the car or you're cooking and you're listening to something, and that's I think you did say you watched the one I did with Elijah, which is it's cool to see more people actually do that, because he explained how he, you know, listens to something. He doesn't play music in the car. Like, most of the time I don't either. Like, I'm listening to something. You're learning, constantly learning. And again, I'm gonna say what I said with his interview is that, you know, there's no excuse, because with these things right here, like, you can learn anything nowadays, you know, and all the information is out there. I mean, once in a while, I gotta listen to some music and calm down, or, you know, unwind or whatever it is, but like, I feel like thirsty all the time for like knowledge and just trying to figure out, you know, learn something new, or just about an issue or people's perspectives on things, which is also good, you know. So that's good to hear that you do that too, and hopefully there's a lot more people that do that. And even when hearing this, hopefully people start to do that. And again, because it goes back to due diligence, you know, like, or just learning and stuff. So I think this tool right here is probably one of the better things, and could be one of the worst things that happen to us, because sometimes we're just like this all the time. So that can be the bad part about it, but like, it's also a good thing if you know how to use it, you know. So what do you think is the most mischaracterized part of this movement? What do you think, how do you think people mischaracterize protectors mostly?
Of course, the TV propaganda that it's just about a telescope.
Yeah.
You know.
So what do you think it's about then, if it's not just about the telescope?
The truth. Once again, the suppression of the truth on how the Hawaiian kingdom was illegally annexed and taken over, hijacked, however you want to put it, occupied. Again, like Standing Rock, the truth. The natives just wanted to teach the truth to the world, how the United States was created, you know, blood, slavery, genocide. Things that is the deep root to why would a telescope create such, you know,
controversy.
You got to look beyond that and, you know, research. What are they saying? You know, legally, what do they have? You know?
Yeah.
Keanu Sai, you know, I learned a lot from Keanu Sai's work.
I watched his, I've seen a lot of his stuff, so I know where, you know.
There's another gentleman too that I learned from North Shore.
From here, up here in North Shore?
Yeah, back, ex-Marine.
Oh shucks, I don't know who that is.
But you know, just the truth. That's what it's really about, and correcting that. You know. Now, I saw an interesting comment or post. You know, when the Hawaiian Kingdom is reinstated, you know, what's the plan? You know, start thinking about those things. Because legally, the Native Americans versus Native Hawaiian, your fight is on paper,
right?
Documented. We don't have that. You know, I mean, you're recognized. Like, I think it was like 90 countries throughout the world with embassies.
The first non-European or Western like state to be recognized as an independent state.
Yeah. So like it's palpable. It's like right there, you know.
Because we were a state. Yeah.
Yeah. So it will happen. It's just a matter of time, and then like the world is waking with this. And then you got to be careful who you're gonna have back you up. You know, if destroy America, the United States isn't the answer. It's a crazy battle because you have communist dictatorships, and then the Western world, supposed freedom and liberty, but with nothing but war. You know, these are like the red and the blue. What we have in the world. You know what I mean? So who are we gonna call on? China to help? I know China said the Hawaiian Kingdom should be given back. You know, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But then you got to be careful. Do you want
China's support? Like, great.
Don't worry. Militarily, it will help you. But you know what I mean? Like, you gotta be careful.
Because you don't know what's gonna happen later on. What the favors you're gonna have to. They're gonna want favors down the line.
We're in a crazy time. Like, seriously, the world is waking up, and I think it's for a reason. And I think the powers that be are allowing this to happen because there is change coming. A huge change is coming worldwide, and it's almost like prepping us. You know what I mean? In a way.
What are you doing?
As we're waking up, you know, it's like, I don't know, I want to go to sleep, leave me alone, you know. It's just happening. Yeah,
whether you like it or not.
And we gotta make sure we're on the right side. You know?
Definitely, and there's a lot of sides out there. It's kind of hard, but that's a whole nother conversation, right? To have. So what would you say to someone who really might not agree with the movement or is on the fence about the movement, like maybe like a pro-TNT person or something, you know?
But have you looked at both sides? Are you just going off the TV? Are you going off a certain political party? College? I don't know. You know, have you looked into how Hawaii was, you know, Hawaiian Kingdom was taken over? Like the root of what's come out of all of this with the telescope. Have you looked behind the construction of the telescope? You know, the foundation of truth.
No, yeah, I think it's a good thing to let them know, and I think a lot of people kind of feel the same way when I ask that question. A lot of them just want to know where they're coming from, you know, so they can see what they actually looked at. Did you only look at one side? So like, where are you coming from? And then you can always come back with the other side and let them know, did you know this? You know, and then maybe you get like a moment, you know, like I didn't know that, you know. So of course I think that's why we need to have those kinds of discussions with those kinds of people, you know. Eventually maybe I'll have a pro-TNT person sit down with me over here. That would be kind of cool. I mean, I wouldn't mind it, you know, to have like an actual civil conversation.
You say that before, and that would be really interesting. And good to watch. Yeah,
no, and I think, like I said, those conversations need to be had, right? So, what do you think is the best way that someone can contribute to the movement?
Just getting active. Whether you're personally learning, you don't have to like go run out into the street, you know, waving signs. You know, personally take action. and start looking outside of the box, you know, and listen to the other voices out there speaking out, taking risks, speaking out. Just take some kind of action. It's not just for us in the moment now, it's for our children, you know, our next generations. Just like this here was for our next generations.
Definitely.
You know, if we don't take action, we're complicit or cynical, like, oh, this is too big for me, I can't make a change. That's the trick. They want you to think that way, so you don't get involved, or you get bullied, or, you know, in threads, or, you know, you start to look, and then someone personally attacks you or whatever, and then, oh, this is why I don't get into this drama. No, get beyond that. You know what I mean? It's designed that way so you don't, so you're censoring yourself. And political correctness is a huge problem. We got to learn to speak out. You know, just take some kind of action. It's not hard, and you got to research outside of the box. Yeah,
due diligence. I think that's another recurring message I'm hearing, and I don't mind pushing is due diligence. You know, do your research. You know, that's a big thing. But that's actually all I got. Do you have any message you want to say to everyone? You know, let everyone know what you got going on, or
I just want to say thank you for, you know, backing my people, the world, you know, when others have needed help. The Hawaiians that just have that
aloha.
Yeah, the aloha, the love, you know. It's just awesome. Just thank you. And I run a little page, it's called 9/11 Truth Hawaii. I keep it Pono. I stick to just straight facts coming from architects, engineers, pilots, firefighters. New York Firefighters Commission is now calling out for a reinvestigation. The New York grand jury is open to accepting about 50 plus evidence of explosives being used and why. Testimonies that were left out of the commission, you know, stuff of that nature, and not getting into all the conspiracy theories like aliens or giants or you know, flat earth. Like, that's cool, like if you're into that, I'm cool with that, but we keep away from that. We just keep the hard facts. I'm choosing the truth of 9/11 because that helped me wake up to my own government fully, even though knowing that a genocide was created to create the United States, right? But 9/11, this is today in the now, even though that was about 20 years ago, that's right now, and why they're still warring today.
Oh yeah, we're still in Afghanistan. We're still in, like, you know, in all those places, right?
Using our children as cannon fodder, and we're taxed and debt-based cash cows. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's that truth alone just flipped a switch in me, like boom. Just like what maybe the Mauna has done for a lot of Kanaka now. Like the fire is lit. And
make them start researching into like the overthrow and all that kind of stuff, right? And I think that did happen for a lot of people that they didn't know a lot about our history. So after this happened, it made them try and find out. So I guess, like you said, that was that for you. So of course you're gonna go and dig into it more, you know, once that into the thing that woke you up. So right on, yeah. So if you guys want to know anything, you know, about 9/11 and all that kind of stuff, then you can check out his page over there and, you know, see what was going on. If, you know, you ever questioned it, you know, or any of the other theories that came out, there's your man right there. You can talk to him about it. He can probably
we're the flagship.
Yeah, right on, yeah. But that's about it for this Cayle Conversations. I want to give big mahalo to Cayle over here. Again, for me, I mentioned this before, just for people who, you know, it's very important, sometimes just as important to have our Kanaka, but even people who aren't Kanaka fighting with us is like it's a big, it's a spot for me, because again, like how Jamie put it once, is they don't have a dog in a fight, you know, like this isn't, you're not in your lands, but you're helping us fight. Even though we did come up and help you guys, I know it's not just returning the favor, it's because you guys want to help, and you know, so that's really important. And I think it's good to see people of all colors and everything coming together, you know, nationalities, whatever it is, to help fight off, you know, some stuff that's not pono for us. So mahalo to you. And then again, mahalo to everyone that watches, you know, subscribe to the channel. Not about the likes or, you know, views. I just want people to share, trying to spread awareness of everyone's perspectives we have in this movement, because it's good to get everyone's perspective and see what's going on, and just open up other windows for everyone to see through. And every time I sit here with someone, I get a new perspective. I'm constantly learning things, so like it's a huge help to me, and hopefully, you know, everyone watching can take the same from it. So again, mahalo guys for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Aloha.